Alright, we're back. So we got a 3/16 helicoil kit. So we got a couple taps to choose from. Good, we have a fairly short helicoil. I normally use these long ones. Even this is way longer. We have to cut about 2 threads of this off too. There's no room in there for helicoiling. Okay, we're going to look for a long tapered tap. This one's been ground down, so not that one. These two here have been ground down. This one looks used, this one looks new, so we're going to use the used one. I'm not going to drill this, I'm just going to tap right into the stripped out hole. Tap drill is usually one size bigger than the existing hole, but not the full inch size up, but the letter drill up. So it's about 15 thou difference. So I'm just going to force it in. Should be alright. So that's what we're going to use. A little cutting fluid on there. Let's see if we can get this thing to start. Now you want to make it straight. Got to get it started first. We're going to push in pretty hard. Alright, after you get it started a little bit, you want to check it from 2 different angles to make sure you're straight. So right now the bike is angled up, and looks like I'm pretty vertical coming out, pretty close. And then you come up from this angle, from the angle I was looking at, and we're going pretty straight from this angle. So that means you're pretty straight. So we got to keep going at the same angle. If you don't push really hard when you do this, it could strip out the thread. The pressure trying to shove the tap in can overcome the thread you got, and it'll just strip it, and then you're screwed. So you gotta make sure you push hard enough. The other thing is we got a taper tap. It's going to hit the frame in there too, and I'm not sure at what point it does that. So when it quits moving like it just did there, then that means you better stop. So when you can see the tap twisting on yourself a little bit, see how it's twisting, flexing, that means you better quit. If you don't, you're not going to like the result. Okay, now we go back to the one that's been cut down to a bottoming tap, which takes way more pressure to cut. And we jam it in with that. And of course I got interruptions already. Alright, we're back. We're going to be interrupted here in a little bit. Okay, so now we'll put this one in there. Now this one has basically no lead angle. It's made for like this, we get a blind hole. So yeah, I had to wiggle around until I found where it wanted to go in. That first spot didn't want to go. If I forced it, it would double cut the thread. So you should be able to catch at least a couple threads, which I think I have. Now we're going to go ahead and force this in. Does not want to cut. It's a little bit too much force for a T-handle. I should be using my tap driver, but oh well. There it goes. He went through that dead spot. There we go, dead spot. And there's where it hits the frame, right there. Alright, so there you go. Now we got threads. Not very many. You see about 3 or 4 of them in there. That's not very many to work with. That's why that's stripped out. It has almost no threads and you force it anyway. now, let's see what the threads look like. So there's not too many to work with there. So now we got to figure out how many threads we're going to keep on this heater coil. Easy heater coil goes in one extra on each side. If you did that on this, you'd have 3 threads. That would not be very many. So we're going to probably wind up not being a very good design here, but we need the tang to engage on the back side to really make it work correctly, but we'll see. Some trash. Okay, we need to clean this up a little bit here. Always want to clean your tools off. Not that clean. Get some chips in here. Just go right in the trash. That's why you put the trash can right under you, see? Okay. So now we're going to shorten up this heater coil. So take a pick of dikes. Good dikes. Proto's the best ones to use for this. I've yet to find a replacement that works. You cut off one heater coil at a time. One. You could buy shorter heater coils, but this is quicker and easier. 2. So now we got 4 threads. I can tell by looking in there I don't have 4 threads to work with. So we got 3 threads total. There's 4 right here where the tang is at, but we got 3 everywhere else. So now this is spring, so as you stick it in there, it's going to twist a bit long. It's going to get longer because you're making it smaller. It'll actually wrap back around another quarter of a turn or more. So you got to figure it's going to do that. Now I don't know what that's going to look like in there, but it's probably still a little bit on the long side for up in here. So there's not much to work with. But I think we can probably make that work. Okay, now for the fun part, making these start. Heater coils are a pain in the butt to start at times, especially these 3/8 ones. So this is our driver. You got to catch that first thread and it goes in. And what I do is to put pressure on it. You can't push on this because it stretches it out, so it's not the right thread. You actually have to push it on the back side with either your fingers or a little pair of pliers, or I use my little crescent wrench right here. So you put that down on top of the shank, and you just shove that, and you're trying to shove that first thread into there as you're rotating. That's what makes it go in. If it cross threads and dumps a thread, pull it back out. You can grab a hold of the pair of dikes and just unscrew it. So let's see how good we do here. Appears to be going in relatively easily. Okay, before I go too far, I'm going to stop and look. I can still get it out pretty easy right now. It's in there pretty deep. So it's probably not going to break the tang off very easily on the inside. Okay, I drive it in. Now the tang has to be below the surface or it will not tighten correctly. So we go just a little bit further. I don't want to go any more than I have to go. We have so little thread to work with. I want to be below the surface, but not way below. Okay, now the tang is right there. I got to break it off at the very top right there on the inside of the hole in there. Now if it's sticking, if it's past the thread already, we can go to push on it, it's just going to bend the whole thing in. It won't break at all. I'm hoping there's something to grab a hold of in there, but it's probably not. If it isn't, then you go into a pair of little needle nose pliers. You try to yank it out with that, or something that's thin, or screwdrivers go back and forth until it breaks. Whatever it takes. You need to break the tang off. Alright, so I'm going to take my screwdriver, go up to the base of the thread where it's the strongest, and give it a pop. If you're lucky, it breaks off. It didn't break off. See how it's sitting in there? Oh, it might have broke off. Or did, no, it did not. As you can see the thread in there, I think I can see the thread still in there. So now I'm just going to go in here and wiggle on it a little bit, try to break the tang off. There it goes. Here it go, pop. And there's the tang where it broke. It's right on the edge of the hole up in there, so hopefully it bit in. Okay, now we can get that tang out of there, otherwise it can get jammed up in the bolt. You can do that with air pressure. It's stainless steel, so you can't magnetize it. Hopefully it comes flying out. Nope. Look, there it goes. It dropped in behind a cavity up in the backside, so with the constant air pressure fluctuation, by changing, it finally bounced out of the hole. Now it went to the ground someplace. I'll find it at my knee at some point. Okay, so now we've got a nice clean thread in there. It's all the way in. Find our bolt. What do we do with our bolts? There's our bolt. Now that threads in there nicely until it gets to the end there and stops. Now is that all the way in, or is it the helical will stop it? Yeah, we'll find out. Nope, we're up against the frame. Okay. Alright, so there you go. One repair job. Another pain in the butt job. Alright, we back.